My name is Megan, and today I'd like to share a little bit about myself and how I got to where I am today and the victories of life. Had a conversation a bit ago that, if you could go back in time and change anything about your past, what would you change? And where I am today, I wouldn't change a thing. I'm going to share some things that are kind of hard to hear. They're kind of hard to say. Here we go. I was born on October 10th, 1977 in Jacksonville, Florida, at NAS Jax Navy Base, in the middle of a tornado. My mom has always said that she knew that I would be trouble. My parents divorced when I was 2, and I have no recollection of them ever being together, and he was gone before I ever got to know him. I moved back to Ohio with my brother and my mom, and my mother met a wonderful man named David, who will forever be my father. When I was 4 years old, I was molested by a distant relative who was babysitting my brother and I while mom went to work. He shoved a bar of Ivory soap in my mouth, and then he beat me with a belt and told me that if I ever told anyone what happened, he would kill my mom. That night in the bath, my mom saw the strap marks across my back and asked what happened. I lied and told her that I said a bad word, and we never went back. I really don't have too many memories of my childhood outside of that. Therapists have said that memory suppression can lead to blocking out certain parts of life. When I was 11 or 12, I saw my abuser for the first time in almost a decade. And in a split second, its passing, it felt like the whole world came crashing down. And I was flooded with memories, and very vivid memories of that day. I ran as fast as I could to my mom, and I collapsed and cried and told her what had happened. With my newfound memories led to rebellion and trying to find new ways to escape the pain. Drugs and alcohol at an early age, having my virginity ripped away from me against my will, just more secrets to hide, and I just kept pushing it down. I didn't do great in school because I just didn't care. My brother was the star child and I was messed up, troubled kid. But I graduated in 1996. I went to college and received my culinary arts degree. For the first time, I was actually excelling at school because it was something that I was passionate about. I met my first husband. We were young and dumb, and I was clueless. And in 1999, we moved to New Orleans and were divorced within a year. I stayed behind. I met my second husband. He introduced me to a whole new world that I didn't even know. I remember the first time that I did cocaine with him. It was an immediate and very passionate, codependent, drug-fueled relationship. I remember the first lamp that was aimed for my head, but smashed against the wall and shattered right next to me. I remember the first time he flipped the bed over with me in it, and the last time when I came up holding my .38, pointing it at a person with every intention of killing them if they came one step closer. His drug addiction had gone even deeper, and he was now shooting heroin. I, for the life of me, couldn't understand how someone could love a drug more than they loved me. Then, one day, it took 4 police officers to pull him off of me. I suffered broken ribs and a busted face, and my last vision of him was in the back of a police car, kicking the back window out so that he could get out and kill me. Then, I soon found out how one can love a drug more than anything else. I quit my job and started stripping, a soulless job for a soulless person. I was shooting up in between my toes because track marks on strippers is not a very good look. The last time I shot up, I overdosed. Luckily, I was with people who were used to this. Our supplier flushed my system. She said that when I came back, that my first words were, "I don't want to die." That was almost 17 years ago. In 2005, August 29th, Hurricane Katrina came through. I was 28 years old. We hitchhiked down the highway with a shopping cart, and there was a news crew on the side of the road, and it happened to be CNN. This broadcast nationwide, and I had friends in Phoenix that saw the broadcast, and when they were finally able to get in touch with me, they said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Thinking about Las Vegas," and he said, "Done." He flew me and 2 of my friends out here, and I was the only one left after all this time. My appetite for drugs and drinking continued. dealing with PTSD, it was just easier to be numb all the time than try and heal. In 2012, I met my daughter's dad. He's an alcoholic, pathological liar. I left him after 5 months and then found out that I was pregnant. We got back together for the baby, and he was horribly abusive, preying on my insecurities and my weaknesses. He would take all of the money out of our bank account and then kick me out of the house with the baby and tell me to figure it out. Finally, I did. I called the cops after he had hit me, and he was arrested. While he was in jail, I drained the bank account and moved myself and my daughter out. He quickly found us because he's a private investigator, and he's made my life a living hell ever since. In 2015, I met my current husband. He's my everything. Our journey is one for the books. When I first met him, it was literally cosmic. I was bartending and he walked in with a bunch of bikers. He was a member of a 1% biker gang when we met. And in my mind, it was like Sons of Anarchy on steroids. He was so bad and it was so good. I knew immediately that I wanted that one. I poured us a shot and walked up to this giant of a man and handed it to him and said, "Cheers." He asked what it was, and I told him to shut up and put it in his mouth. He smiled, he said, "I like you. Why don't you come sit on my lap when you're off?" And I did. In 2016, he left and suffered a bit of an identity crisis and went off the rails. He shot his gun out of our truck while we were going down the highway, and it struck a car. Thank God no one was hurt. He went to jail. I was held for questioning and then released that night. After hearing about this experience, my ex kept my daughter from me for 90 days against her will. She was not involved in the shooting, and I was found to have no fault, but he continued to keep her from me. The courts finally made him return her. My husband was released from jail in June of 2017 and found me at an old Smith's. This person who had caused so much chaos in my life was standing in front of me with tears in his eyes. I allowed him to talk, and eventually we reconciled. While in jail, he had had his come to Jesus moment and shared it with me. We started attending the crossing in 2017. In June of 2018, our son was born. Before his birth, I made the decision to dedicate myself to being a follower of Jesus. To this day, I'm almost 10 years drug of any kind free. My husband and I are stronger than ever. Our faith has never been stronger, and our love only grows even through adversity. As my ex is who he is, he's been lying to the courts, and my husband has to leave our home every Thursday and Friday. So this is the life we live weekly. We pray for resolution within the court system and for our family. On April 9th of 2020, COVID hit, and my husband has nowhere to go. All the hotels are closed, all the national parks and campgrounds are closed. So we decided to allow him to stay home and break the court order out of necessity. When he had found this out, he abducted my daughter for 5 months this time. The court lost the paperwork as if it never happened. We got her back September 1st, but my husband still has to leave. 5 CPS reports, all unsubstantiated, make no difference to the court. And now we are readying ourselves to move to Ohio without my daughter. I'm praying for strength. I'm praying that the corruption don't get a hold of Lily and that I will get to see her again. And as I'm reading this right here, I want to stop actually, because another victory in my life is that I've been able to forgive Lily's dad. And that was a huge, huge battle for me. And I've been praying emphatically for God to release the stronghold of bitterness in my life and allow me to focus on the freedom of forgiveness. And today, I can say that once again, God has come through in my life. I didn't think that I would ever be to that point in my life where I would be able to forgive somebody that had hurt me so much. But I am. And that in and of itself is a victory and incredibly freeing. And I'm proud of who I am today. I'm proud of how far I've come. I'm proud of the relationship that I have with my husband, and that we are raising our children in a house of God. I have to honestly say that I've never been more proud of myself. And that's something that I didn't ever think that I would say either. But God has opened my heart and opened my eyes and allowed me to see things through Jesus's eyes, through God's eyes. And that's kind of my mantra. Like when adversity strikes, when adversity comes, what would Jesus do? Well, Jesus would invite these people to his table to sit down. Jesus would invite these people to have conversations. And I feel that that's what God is allowing me to do and directing me to do. I'm excited for our next journey in Ohio. I'm excited for our next steps because we feel that it is a calling from God to help displaced people in the world. And I feel that that's what God is allowing me to do and directing me to do. And I'm excited for our next journey in Ohio. I'm excited for our next steps because we feel that it is a calling from God to help displaced people in the world. And God has given me the gift of mercy and the experiences in my life to prepare me to reach out to these people and help these people as much as I can. And maybe a little bit of my story might reach you. Maybe a little bit of my story might help somebody. I don't know. But thank you for listening.